Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Big P here. You know, don't you? You know, the voice of hardcore boxing. I say the things that nobody dare say. Anyway, don't forget to join that button below. Hit it. It says join. That's the members exclusive for the Porky experience. $5.99 a month. 30% goes to YouTube. The rest of it goes in Porky's pocket so he can buy a pot noodle.
And a can of tuna.
And a can of tuna, like the prison days. Today I'm joined by my good friend from London, Terry. How are you doing, Terry?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. What do you think to lockdown at the moment, Terry? I bet you're buzzing, aren't you? It's all coming to an end.
Well, I just need the gyms to. I need the gyms to open and a few shops to open, and I don't really care about the rest of it.
Yeah, as long as you've got your boxing training and all the rest of it, you're happy, aren't you? As long as you get paid every month, Terry, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. Like, and I feel for the people who haven't been able to get paid every month. Like, this has just been a rough time for a lot of people, and I don't want to get too political on here, obviously, because it's boxing. But
yeah.
you kind of hope that by June, Boris just says, "Okay, people, I've done what I can. It's up to you guys now to look after yourselves."
Yeah, you're right, mate. You're exactly right. And it's times like this, Terry, when I say to myself, I wish I'd have gone and got a university education like you and Rico.
Nah, man, you got your degree from the University of Life.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, thank you, Terry. Yeah. You always make me feel better after having
it. Full PhD.
City and Guilds. City and Guilds in how to steal a Mark II escort. Right, we're going to talk about some deep topics tonight. We're going to go deep, but balls deep. But I just want to keep it on an even keel like we normally do and just be ourselves. So the first question I want to throw out, it's not Frampton or Joshua AJ, it's would Ryan Rhodes beat Ted Cheeseman, Fitzy, Fowler or Eggington if he were around today at 154? Yes or no?
He'd beat all of them apart from Cheeseman.
You don't think Ryan Rhodes beats Cheeseman?
Nah.
Why not?
Well, here's the thing about Ted. Do you remember when he fought Carson Jones, Russ?
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
And Carson Jones was lighting him up for ages. And there was something in Ted, like the inner hard man in Ted that came out that night. And then he started just basically running over Carson Jones. So I can kind of see Ted doing something similar. So Ryan would be up on the scorecards. But if you remember, Ryan would fold in later parts of the fight. And that's when Ted comes alive. Those final 3 or 4 rounds are when Ted comes alive.
I can't see that. Honestly, you reckon Cheeseman beats the Spice Boy?
Yeah. Name me what? No. You got to name me. No. Name me a war that Ryan Rhodes came through successfully, like a top level war, British European level war that Ryan Rhodes came through.
Jamie Moore.
Jamie Moore's not Ted Cheeseman's level.
You don't think? Do you think Ted Cheeseman's above Jamie Moore?
Yeah.
Strong words from Terry tonight. I don't know. I always had Ryan Rhodes down as somebody who were fought at the wrong weight, and I can explain it. Were badly matched because he could fight and he could do it all, couldn't he? You know, his style and that really awkward.
So for me, if Ryan Rhodes was around now, they'd treat him like they treated Josh Kelly. Like he'd avoid loads of people until he got to that top level. And then they just go, right, let's make a few quid here.
Maybe that day that Ryan Rhodes came to Lindholm prison and put that exhibition on, now we're ringside. Maybe that went to my head.
Well, you got to ask yourself why he didn't call you out. Like he knew what would happen.
I didn't get picked out of Pete Bell's art to box. You had to put your name in a hat. You know.
Yeah, you might have stopped him though. That's why they kept you out. You weren't even in the hat, Porky.
I know, yeah. I know. What me stop Ryan Rhodes? Do me a favour. Johnny Nelson were there that day as well. He sparred a kid from Wales who were doing a 5-stretch.
Yeah.
And before the fight, Johnny was saying, "This kid can fight, you know. This kid can fight, you know." Like he doesn't tell him now. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And this kid had been training for ages for Johnny, and I think he'd done a bit in past. Like I'll never forget it. Never forget it. 95 Christmas that one. Long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was peak Porky.
They came in a big old Postman Pat van thing. Brendan Ingalls, I think it was. But yeah, everybody paid £2. We probably got about 300 people there. We all, a few screws there and a few cons, and it all went to charity, to Brendan Ingalls charity. So it's all good, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's all good stuff. But no, I think you're wrong there. I think Ryan Rhodes wipes the floor with Ted Cheeseman, aka Quasimodo. I don't see Quasi beating the Spice Boy, Terry. You've got to be trolling me there with that one, surely.
nah. It's like I keep saying, people forget that Ted's not a clown when it comes to boxing. Right? He's not a clown. He can actually box. He understands what boxing is. So how's Ryan going to beat him? Is he going to beat him on stamina? I don't think so. Is he going to beat him on toughness? No. Is he going to beat him on skill? Maybe for the first half of the fight, but not when he gets knackered.
So do you think Ryan's problem was he didn't have a tank for later rounds?
A lot of those Ingle guys didn't have tanks.
Yeah. I wonder why that is.
Some people just don't put in the brutal training. Like, you know, you go up north, right? And you go to like Nick Manners' gym, and he's got young lads running up and down hills, and they're all carrying each other on their back as they're running uphill.
Peter Field does all that sort of training, you know.
Yeah, that's the
carrying people. That's what they did in army.
Yeah, that's when you don't doubt yourself. See, when you go through those sorts of workouts, you don't doubt yourself. But there wasn't a lot of that at the Ingle gym.
Are they mental workouts then, so that it's supposed to shock you and you think, well, if I can do that, I can do anything. Instead of like running up an hill with some strapped weights in a rucksack, do they like you to do it with a person on your back so it gets to your mental?
It doesn't really make a difference, Russ. It's more just having that resistance of an extra 30 or 40 kilo on you. And you just kind of just go up, and your body just gets used to working fucking hard. That's what you need. Well, that's all training is, Russ. Get your body used to working hard for an extended period of time, get it used to recovering quickly and doing it all again.
Bunny used to say that to me. He used to come out with stuff like that. I always think what Dominic Ingalls said, though. He said consistency is the key. And I thought to myself, because I've never been like Mr. Bronze Adonis, right? Well, I have had a tan and that, but I've never been Mr. Adonis. But from age of 23 up to about 27, I did that long period. And I was a gym orderly 2 a year. And I noticed loads of changes in myself, you know, in my physique and that over that period of time, because you're doing it every day, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? But I never maintained that. It's flashes, but never consistent, because we were surrounded by food and drink and all the other things that we...
It's like, Russ, it's like, you know those kids who left school at 15, 16 and just started scaffolding or bricklaying, right? And by 25, they've got the body of a 35-year-old. They're just solid.
Yeah. Because
they've done manual work every day. And so their body's adapted to it.
You come out with a good quote of the week. You know, you're going on about something, and we've spoke about this before over a few beers. You said, you get some guy at school. You always remember they didn't have the best looking physique or all, but they were just strong, weren't they? Like bull strong.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it done because there was this guy at school, and I'll never forget, honestly. I'll never forget this proper tickler, this one. We're all at school, you know, you've got comprehensive school, don't you?
Yeah.
Doing comprehensive, it's a month before I'm 13, so I'm up there. And this guy walks in, same age as me, and somebody said, "Here, sir, we're waiting to go in there." And he went, "You fucking what? You effing what? I'm in your year." It was some big old farmer's son. I got to know him over years. I was up there. Big old hairy back on him and that. And I swear to God, honestly, I ran into him, right, in rugby scrum. And I swear to God, it was like running into concrete. but he was a big dummy. You know what I mean? But with a concrete head. But it was naturally strong. He'd never been gym in his life, but he was from that kind of stock.
Yeah, you can't manufacture that, man. That's that real strength.
And you were going on about that regarding to Joe Joyce, weren't you?
Yeah.
Saying Joe Joyce is not like a Joshua physique, but he's strong. And Dave Allen said the same thing to me, He said he found because Dave Allen didn't lose every session with Joshua, when they sparred, because he sparred a long time before Joshua even turned pro. But Dave Allen said that Joshua was big and hollow and he could move him about, but he couldn't do that with Joe. Do you know what I mean? And he said he definitely couldn't do it with the bar. So is Joshua all front and inside he's not strong? I don't know.
No, it's not really. So here's what I was talking to another trainer about this, Russ. There's a difference between strength and coordination, right? So you see those female gymnasts that can do all of that crazy stuff, like one-handed handstands and all that crazy stuff, right? Yeah. That takes a lot of that. You have to be strong. But if you put those young girls in a gym, they're not that strong. So what is it? They can just recruit more muscle. They can recruit more muscle fibers. They're more efficient with their bodies than anyone else's. And I think that's what Joe Joyce says. I mean, when you're big like that, he's just efficient like that. And then when you add in the weight training, it's almost like a turbocharger for his physique. Whereas with Joshua, I don't think Joshua had that foundation. So they've had to create that in the gym, which is why it doesn't feel as authentic as Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's naturally a strong lump. He's not the fastest lump, is he? And he's not, I wouldn't say he's the sharpest in a conversation either, but as regards what he does and how he applies his best attributes, he could be, I know this is crazy, people are going to say, okay, you've lost your mind on 4 bottles of black sheep. Well, let me say this right. Joe Joyce could be the best guy in the world. We just don't know, do we?
I think Fury's too much for him.
Yeah. Well, he could be the second best, though, couldn't he, out of everybody else?
Yeah. I think he's scary to everybody else.
Yeah, Tyson played with him at Peter's gym when they sparred. Played with him and the bar, and they were out of shape. So...
And so here's Fury's always got this advantage that he's bigger than everyone else. So everyone, and this is where Wilder fell over, if you remember. Wilder had been used to being bigger than everyone else and having that reach. And so he boxed Fury like he was the bigger man in the ring. Whereas if Wilder had gone, Jesus, Fury's got inches on me, height-wise and reach-wise, I need to stick it on him now. I think he'd have probably done more damage to Fury in both fights.
Yeah. Yeah, do you think Wilder should have just gone out there and had a tear up with him?
That's what Joshua's going to do. Joshua's not going to be out there trying to go jab for jab. Joshua's going to be like, actually, I just need to stick it on this guy.
Yeah, Joshua's not. That's why Joshua's going to come in heavy, isn't he? He's just going to go flying out, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think you can do it. There's no other way. You're not getting into a shootout with Fury at range and expecting to win. Surely.
This conversation with Dennis a few years ago, I said, "What do you reckon, Den? Joshua or Fury?" He goes, "Do you know what? It'd be easiest night's work for Fury out of all of them." He said it'd probably be easier than Chisora, the first one with Chisora. It'd be that easy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it could also be his worst night because the thing with Joshua is he's ready to bang out with you at a minute's notice. As soon as you give him an opportunity to swing on you, you know he's going to swing on you.
Yeah. Yeah, it only takes one punch, doesn't it, Terry, at that level?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Do you think, Terry, looking at it from outset, that they jumped the gun last June with that announcement saying the fight were done 2-fight deal? Because it's been 10 months now and there ain't a date, is there? And do you think that there's a few eggs on a few people's faces and they're kind of like, oh.
Well, but it's the boxing fans' fault, right? Who the hell wants to box in the Middle East in June, July, August, like when it's 40-something degrees? No one. And you're not even going to go out there, man. The heat's horrible. That's why anyone with any common sense goes from the Middle East to London in the summer so they can just get away from the heat.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, mate. It's like, yeah, sometimes it's hit 50 degrees before. It's horrible.
What, in day?
Yeah.
Well, that you won't be able to cope with that, would you? We won't. We would have knackered at 25. Maybe I have to come indoors.
There you go.
No, I won't be able to cope with that. It's a good job I'm not going to get a press pass in it.
Yeah. But here's the problem, though, Russ. 3 years ago, when Team Wilder offered Joshua that 50 million, and now look at her having to scramble about to make Fury Joshua worth more than 50 million for AJ. And I don't think that's going to be easy in this current climate.
I'm hearing that there's been numbers touted about as low as 60 for the fight, for them 30 apiece. I've heard there were a few gasps at that, but there's also been other bids. But who are these people that are bidding though? He says there's 20 odd people in it from 7 countries. So who are these 20?
Right. So it can't be. See, I mean, if the country bids, it'll come through the royal family, right? So essentially, each country is making their own bid. Hearn makes these things up because that's how the Middle East works. Everything gets approved by the guys at the top. Everything. So if Dubai make a bid, it's approved by the royal family. If Saudi make a bid, it's approved by the royal family. So 20 people can't be making bids.
Yeah. I think that's just bulging up the numbers.
Well, he has to just talk, right? That's all he's got right now. He doesn't seem he's got a date. That doesn't seem he's got much. Although he may surprise us all and say, well, actually, we're just going to do it in Vegas.
And just take the chance with pay-per-views and hope they can sell it and hammer it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and roll the dice. Because he's in a situation now where he hasn't been in a situation like this before, has he? Whereas
if Joshua doesn't fight Fury next, it's an embarrassment for her.
Listen, let me tell you this. When has he not delivered on anything he said? He's delivered on it, but now he's dealing. Did you know there's about 17 permutations to why this fight can't go ahead? You know, we mandatory legal stuff and this and that and blah, blah, blah. 17. But they're not telling the fans this either. They're just saying, yeah, it's done deal. We're going to announce it in 30 days. And yeah, but it's been announced 10 months ago.
Mate, what was that picture in my bear all about then?
That was 27 months ago, wasn't it? That
something like that, yeah.
2 years ago, more. I don't know what it looked. I always got the impression that Tyson couldn't stand him and vice versa. That's the impression I got.
Nah, I do you know what? I don't think Fury cares that much about Joshua to hate him. I don't think Joshua cares that much about Fury to hate him. They understand they need each other.
They do need each other more than ever now. And that's what it's about, business. And they'll have had a proper chat and said, look, we're going to get this sorted or what? Who's to say that them two couldn't be pulling off something whereas it's just them two getting paid? Because you know what? Listen, Tyson's a boxer trick. So is his father, but Tyson is sharp as they come, Tyson. When Tyson was 18, he had 100 grand in cash under bed from doing bits of tarmacking and bits of graph drives and stuff like that. As a teenager, he was shrewd. He could have probably turned his hand to anything, Tyson. He could have been a mechanic, electrician, businessman, or listen, as sharp as they come. And Joshua, he was a drug dealer, wasn't he? Convicted. He had a bit of porridge, and he's come through all that, and he's ended up he's 1 award away from being knighted in the NBA OBE. He's not behind the door either, is he, Joshua? Do you know what I mean? So who's to say that they might not be saying, do you know what? Let's get rid of Bricktop, let's get rid of Eddie Hills, and let's get rid of the Bob Father. Let's see them all off, and let's have all the loot for ourselves over 2 fights. And you know, if they did that, I'd be like, go on. I would.
I don't even think. I just, like I said to you before, I don't think these rich guys would ever let that happen. There's no way between Hearn, Warren, and whoever else sticks their nose in.
Why is it taking this long then, Teddy? We've got Eddie Hearn there with $1 billion war chest. MTK, they're involved, aren't they? They're supposed to have just been given $500 million back, aren't they? Plus, they were already at $1 billion. So they've got plenty readies. Bob Arum there's worth over $500 million. Frank Warren, he's involved in it as well. He's been involved in big deals. Are you telling me what's the stumbling block?
All right.
What is the stumbling block? Usyk fight for Joshua mandatory, and what's the other one? The Wilder third fight. Why don't they just get them 2 fights out of the way and just move on with it?
It's not that, Russ. It's where are you going to make the money? Because remember, after Fury Joshua, there's nothing. Maybe Spence Crawford at a lower level, but after that, there's nothing.
Nothing in boxing.
Yeah, there's no fight we're going to care about for another 5 or 6
trilogy,
years.
Couldn't they, over 2.5 years?
Depends on how the first one goes, right? Let's say so let's say theoretically, Joshua gets stopped like he did against Ruiz, right?
Yeah. Against Usyk.
No, let's say Joshua gets stopped like he did against Ruiz.
By who though? Fury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to want to see a rematch? No.
No.
We found out who number one was. It wasn't convincing. I'm not trying to hear any sickness, excuses, none of that. I don't want to see the second fight.
Yeah.
And if I'm Fury and I beat Joshua, I'll probably just retire anyway. Scatter the belts.
Yeah, that'll fry a few heads, wouldn't it? If he scattered belts after all these years trying to get them into one little group and then they just scatter them all again.
But that's what I'd do. If whoever wins this fight, I'd retire. Because then someone's got another fucking 6 years to try and unify the belts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. It'd take forever, wouldn't it, to build them up into one load?
Yeah.
And Fury's already done it once, hasn't he, really, apart from WBC. And Joshua wouldn't have had all them if there hadn't been all politics involved. So you'd say Fury's more credible than Joshua, wouldn't they? But Joshua can only do...
Fury's held every belt, right? And he's beaten people who you can't question. You're like, well, yeah, they were top guys.
Let me just read these couple of names here, Terry. Let me read these couple of names. Charlie Martin, right? These are world champions. Joshua's beat Charlie Martin, Povetkin, Vladimir, Parker, Ruiz. Is that it? 5? Is there another one? I think it might be another one, is there? I missed one out there.
Say that again, Russ. Who?
Charlie Martin.
Yeah.
Parker, Vladimir.
Yeah.
Povetkin, Ruiz. Is there one missing? Melina wasn't a world champion, were it? Dylan White weren't.
Nor was Pulev.
Nor was Pulev. So there's 5 then, is there? If there's one missing, it's my fault. Brazil weren't, were he?
No.
Right, so we've got 5 there. And Fury, he's got Cunningham, Vladimir and Wilder. So there's 8 wins there between pair of them. Fury's not defended a belt. And Joshua, you could see all them wins he's got there. Charlie Martin, worst one ever. Povetkin were 39. Vladimir were in his 42nd year, 69th fight. Parker stunk the place out, didn't engage. And Ruiz beat him first time. So is this the weakest era ever? Because looking at Fury's, Cunningham's a blown-up cruiserweight, life and death. Vladimir in his 40th year, 68th or 67th fight, whatever. And I think it was 68th. And Wilder, 5-year champion, knocking everybody out, but he weren't technically brilliant. So as the social media presence of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua took on a life of its own in this day and age, when really the CVs don't warrant the hype.
No, I don't think that's fair.
No,
I think
being harsh.
I think if you put Joshua in the 80s, he wins the world championship, right? And anytime between 81 and about 88, I think Joshua probably holds a version of a belt somewhere, right? Just on who he is.
Joshua beat Larry Holmes.
Maybe not Larry, right? But someone else who had a belt at the time.
Tim Witherspoon, Bone Crusher,
yeah,
Michael Doe.
Yeah, those sorts of guys.
Lost Generation.
Josh's better than those guys. Now, what would Dillian be like in the 80s? I don't know. But
like a Mike Weaver, wouldn't he, type, Bone Crusher Smith type, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it'd be competitive.
Yeah.
Wilder in the 80s be the same as Wilder now. If he catches you, you're gone.
Yeah. Ernie Shavers type, but Ernie never won a belt, did he?
No, but not even like Ernie, because Wilder's so much bigger than you that he doesn't even have to engage.
Yeah.
And then if you slide down, Fury wins in any era. Fury's good in any era. He causes everybody problems.
John L. Sullivan era, he could win one in any era, couldn't he?
Yeah. So those guys
wouldn't say he wins one in 70s, would he? With Ali, Ken Norton, all them guys.
And not doing 15 rounds either.
Could George Foreman destroy Joshua inside 4 rounds? I'd say yes.
Potentially. If he lands, yeah. Because historically...
Fraser beat Joshua.
That'd be more like a Ruiz situation. But I think the point I'm making is in the 80s, Joshua's competitive. Fury's competitive in any era. Someone like Dillian's competitive in the 80s. He's competitive. Dillian's probably competitive in the 90s as well. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's not a poor era. And
it's not a poor era now then, no?
Not compared to the 2000s. Fucking hell, remember the 2000s, Russ?
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, let's remember the 2000s, and then also that kind of weird period between Riddick Bowe, Holyfield, and then like the late 90s. There was also a dead period in the middle where guys like Ray Mercer were causing havoc, and George Foreman was able to have a career at 50.
I thought he beat Lennox.
Nah, you just wanted Lennox to lose, Porky.
No, I'm a big.
I bet you're doing a version of Porky's Corner back in the day, weren't you? Putting out the tape.
Let me tell you a little story. Many years ago, I used to live in a place called Bentley in Doncaster years ago, and I bought a VHS tape from the local corner shop, and it was Lennox Lewis against Razor Ruddock, and it was an eliminator for the world title, which he never got because they upgraded him, didn't they, to the WBC belt, didn't they? Because Bo put it in the bin, didn't he? Yeah. But that was my first. Obviously, I know he won Olympic gold super heavyweight in '88, but that was my first actual purchase of a boxing video.
Is that when you became hardcore?
That's when I was like, wow. And it showed, I think it had another fight on it as well. It had Lennox Lewis, Ruddock, and I think Frank Bruno might have even been on it, fighting him as well on that same VHS video. And do you know what? I can't find that VHS tape to this day, but at the time it was like 10 quid. I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And it was, and I got, and it was just, another string to your bow, innit? And you start buying boxing news, don't you? And all that, Ring Magazine and that, don't you? But with Mike Tyson, what man then, money back in that day. He'd just come out he'd just gone to prison and all that. But he was still the man, the big name.
Yeah.
But Lennox Lewis, yeah. And isn't it a shame that they never got to meet Lennox and Mike Tyson when he was in jail, that period? Because I think that period needed like that Mike Tyson to not go to jail, didn't it? Do you know what I mean?
But he was already on the decline even before that.
What do you think? You mean because he'd been beat by Douglas?
And he wasn't training right, he wasn't living right.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. Yeah, maybe the candle had fizzled out for him. Maybe he was just a 2-year man. I mean, what even that? He won it in '86 November.
No, look by the time Mike fought for a world title, it was 30-something fights.
No.
Yeah, we have to pull away from this idea that people aren't any good and so forth. Well, he fought 37 times or something before the world title, and then kind of had about 3 years after that where he was the man.
Yeah.
And then it just gets to you.
Yeah,
it's a hamster wheel. You've done it since what, 1980? You've just been in that same level of intensity, man. It breaks you. And his style's a short career style as well, Russ.
Yeah, I need a wee mean 2 seconds. Sorry about that, mate. Yeah, you were saying about Iron Mike. We were saying about Iron Mike. Obviously, he won it in 86 November, but he lost it in November, Feb, didn't he? So he only really had the belt as long as Clinton Woods had his. But we talk about this reign like it was some reign of terror and it were a really long period, but it weren't. It were like 3 year, 3 month, wasn't it? 3 years.
No, but but it's a different 3 years, Russ. Like it's not a 3 years of promoters trying to milk each fight. I mean, Mike was fighting even as champion, wasn't he? Fighting 3 times a year.
He were active. They kept rolling him out at Donald Trump's place, didn't they? He were there. He did Spinks there, didn't he? You remember?
Yeah.
He was undisputed at 23-year-old, wasn't he? Something like that.
Yeah.
But do you feel after Bruno got his hands on him the second time, the first time, sorry, do you think that was the decline?
No, he was still winning, remember? The Buster Douglas one was probably the point where he crossed over into that place where he's not doing enough to be successful. And it happens. Like, the thing with the decline is you get away with it, you get away with it, you get away with it, you get away with it. Then one day you just don't. And it just all comes crashing down around you.
Yeah, I just feel that. Do you feel a little bit shortchanged from Mike Tyson's career?
No, but I've never put him down as one of my great heavyweights anyway.
No, it's not mine either. There's just something about it. I just think that who's his best 3 wins? I know there's Mike Tyson fans that are going to go, okay, you're hating on Mike. Look, who's his best 3 wins? Who would you say?
Well, no, so it's this is where it gets difficult because I think Tyson's a world champion in every era.
What, going back 100 years?
Going back 1,000 years. I think Mike Tyson from that version from, let's say, 87 to the middle of 88.
Yeah.
That version of Mike is a world champion in every era. I don't think he goes unbeaten, but he definitely wins the title.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like, he never had the quality of opponents. Like, by the time Holyfield and Lewis became relevant to Mike, it was too late.
Yeah. Do you think Tyson Fury would have held his own in the Max Baer era?
Every era. He holds his own in every era. Because he's got that old school sort of skill set. He's got that circus fighter kind of skill set. You know, the bag of tricks and the ability to know where someone is and read their body language. He can do all of that.
Like a sixth sense. When I saw him spar, right, he must have been 28 stone. And all they were doing was just moving around. I'll never forget. And he had loads of back fat on him as well. And I was with Dave Allen and we watched, and he didn't really move. He just held command at the centre of the ring. We were that big and fat. I thought, what's he going to do here? And do you know what? He had hands low and he was still twisting and turning. And I remember driving home with Dave Allen. I had a blue Mazda at the time. I remember Dave Allen saying, "Oh, don't go this quick." We were 140 in it back. You know what I'm like, Terry. Me and Dave were talking about it, and Dave was saying, couldn't even hit him. And I was like, yeah, I know. Dave said, I couldn't inspire him when he was fit. And he still had that sort of presence. I'll never forget, he had a big old red vest on. And his body's got no shape to him, like you see heavyweight champions and that. But he dominated, mate. Dominated it. It was good to see. Good to see, honestly. Good to see. And like I said, he was way out of shape, mate. Honestly. So imagine him in shape. I mean, have we even seen 60% of Tyson Fury? We haven't, have we? We've not seen him 60% of him, have we? Maybe we might have done with that Wilder second down. He had to dig deep on that, didn't he? But there's more to come from him, though, isn't there, Terry? Do you think?
No, I don't. I think what we've seen is what we're going to get. There's no higher level.
I hope not. I hope not, 'cause it'd be a
There's
shame.
no real higher level because you look and you go, well, okay, so what's he going to do? The only thing he could do now is make himself invisible in the ring.
Okay, then give me 10 fighters from this era now who Tyson Fury could fight and we'd all say that's pay-per-view, that's pay-per-view. Let's have a look. Joshua, Joyce, Usyk, there's 3. Dylan White, Tyson against Dylan White. That's 4. Who else?
Wilder again.
Magadoff, eh?
Wilder again.
Magadoff, Wilder again. That's 8.
It'll be Hergovich. It'll be Yoka. Yeah, anyone. Just anyone, basically. Yeah,
you could have them twice. Let's say you have them all twice, or some 3 and some 1. That's 20 fights. There's enough fights for Tyson to have 50 odd fights. And another 20 fights, what's that, 8 year, 9 year, 8 or 9 year?
He won't stick around for that.
Well, I'm just saying though, but if he wanted to, he could fight for 8 or 9 year, pick up 300 or 400 mil, couldn't he? If he wanted to.
Nah, I don't. I struggle with that, Russ, because you'd have to go the other way. So he'd have to fight guys like Yoka and Hergovich now, which means we definitely don't get the Joshua fight. And then he'd have to fight the guys like Ortiz, Wilder again, Dillian. So that's 5 fights before we even got to Joshua now. And that's what, another 3 years from now? Yeah. Then he eventually fights Joshua. He's 37, Joshua's 36, and we don't care anymore. Because after that Joshua fight, he's not going to have the motivation to fight anyone else, I don't think.
Yeah. Do you feel that Yoka's got a claim to the throne?
No, he hasn't done. He hasn't done enough yet. But if he gives us that kind of win, I can't even think who it would have to be. Let's say he fought the winner of Parker Chisora and beat them, right?
Yeah.
Then we've got to put him up there. If he beats a Povetkin, we've got to put him up there.
Would you roll the dice with Yoka against Parker?
I don't even think it's rolling the dice. I think it's an easy night to work for Yoka.
Do you?
Yeah.
That'd be a statement, though, wouldn't it? Because a lot of people speak about Parker's loss to Joshua like it's some big win for Joshua, don't
they? Yoka would play with it, man. He just burned him with that 1-2. No, I think Yoka just needs to be tested because it all seems to be there for him. And if it turns out that he's got a chin, let's just say he's got a solid chin, then you'll see him being avoided like the plague.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and it can be a fascinating era, one we could all enjoy, and it could get up to the realms of the 70s golden generation. You know, if it were done right and they all fought each other and just said, yeah, I'll fight him and I'll take that money. Instead of all this politics, it could be a great era, couldn't it? It could be, I think.
It could be, but I just think we are where we are, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think it's a depressing era for all the hype and all the chat and the fact? When have we last had a proper fight? You know, like Joshua Vladimir. When have we had a fight like that we got excited about?
But that's almost by accident, though. Vladimir wasn't meant to be competitive in that fight. That was an accident. Yeah, we all talk about it like, oh my God, that version of Vladimir was amazing. Remember, he was just surfing or doing whatever. He became a dad and everything. He wasn't coming back. They just dug him up. The same way they dug up Larry Holmes for Mike Tyson.
Oh, Larry Holmes came back after a couple of years out and had it put on him with 3-week notice, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what happened. So when I look at all of this, Russ, like the thing is, I've never been a hardcore. Like I always see these guys who get too involved in boxing, and I always think it's bad for your mental health. I'm like, mate, it's just another sport. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
But I see day after day, week after week, I just see people taking the piss with the sport. It's got to the point, Russ, where I'm more excited about Jake Paul versus Ben Askren than I am about any boxing fight.
You're joking me?
Nope.
You don't want to see that Jake Paul fucking pinch any money out of boxing, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you're Terry, man. Oh, you're frying me.
No. Because you know what? I was talking to his trainer, and his trainer explained for the last 2.5 years, Jake Paul has done nothing but train and spar. And I'm like, okay. And so I was like, look, we're putting him in with some decent guys. He's serious. So I'm just like, well, if this guy turns out to be halfway decent at boxing, it goes to show how all that nonsense they used to tell us about boxers are this unique breed of human being. You're like, nah, I don't think so. And so that's what I'm looking forward to, Russ. I'm looking forward to watching that fight. And then there'll be another gimmick fight. There'll be a what you call it? We talked about this last week, didn't we? But there'll be Tyson Holyfield 3. I'm more interested in that than I'm in anything else. And that's boxing's fault. Boxing should have made me interested in other people, but I don't care about them. I genuinely do not care because I've waited so long for things to catch fire again like they did in 2017. And I'm getting Carl Frampton versus Jamel Herring just for another payday. And I'm just like, nah, this isn't for me.
Do you think, Terry, that, your Floyd Mayweathers, your Eddie Earns, people like that, because Eddie Earn, one of these who brought this kind of boxing into boxing, this exhibition stuff. Do you feel that your Mayweathers, your Eddie Earns have sensed that there's another market out there with social media to make money, that they're not bothered about twisting the knife into boxing that put them where they are?
Well, so I don't think Mayweather's twisting the knife into boxing because Floyd gave us everything we wanted, right?
Yeah.
And he's still the biggest name in boxing. So he has every right to make money off his name because, like you said, Russ, he's not taking money out of boxers' pockets because he's not boxing. He already told people that. He said, I'm not boxing. I'm not going to box anyone active.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn's different. Eddie just wants the big paydays. And if he has to wait 10 years for a big payday, he will. Whereas in the old days, I think the promotions would have got the money by fighting 6 or 7 times.
You mean in the 40s and the 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean like they had like Ray Robinson, LaMotta. They fought about 6 times, didn't they? And they had 2 cancelled, didn't they? So
yeah,
they'd have fought 8 times if they didn't have the cancellation. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Well, I ain't got a problem with that. I would have liked to have seen Andre Ward against Carl Froch 6 times.
I wouldn't. No. I always think my thing about boxing, Russ, is and Carl's living proof of this himself. The second fight is normally easier for the victor than the first fight.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean like his rematches with Groves?
Yeah. We look at Ward's rematch with Kovalev. Once you get over that psychological barrier of the unknown, Ward would have just gone, oh, now I know how I can stop Froch. Last time I just wanted to win. Now I know how I can dominate him.
Yeah, but it works both ways, doesn't it? Carl Froch could turn around and say, well, he tried to fight a technical fighter with a class act technician surgeon type guy, realised after 7 rounds this is not working, and then just went full flat out and chased them last, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rounds.
Right. All right. So you think he's going to do that in the rematch? That's how Carl's going to come out
from beginning. I don't know, but I think it were a bad stylistic matchup for him, wasn't it? Really?
No. You see, Ward is just light years better than Froch. It's like comparing that Barcelona team that Guardiola managed with Liverpool. Like there's just Liverpool they're a good team, but there are teams that are special. Ward's a different level to Froch, and even Froch now admits that. He's like, yeah, Ward is special.
Yeah. He's such a special fighter. He has an answer for everything. He nullifies everything that you're good at.
Yeah.
Sometimes being tough and strong, bone crunching, strong, and sometimes that ain't enough if you're up against someone that's maybe not as bone crunching strong and maybe not as tough, but they've got other skills.
But Froch said Ward is strong.
Yeah, he is strong. Yeah, but I'm about strong. He's not took punishment, has he?
Yeah, but that's surely a credit to him, right?
No, he's been dropped though, hasn't he? Heavily. Darnell Boone dropped him heavily, didn't he?
Yeah, came back and won.
Yeah. What's he called? Jermaine Taylor dropped Froch, didn't he?
And Taylor wasn't even like a super mid; he was a middleweight.
Yeah. Yeah, but he just beat Jeff Lacey before he fought Froch at super mid,
Yeah, but Lacey wasn't. Lacey was never any good. No. Let me rephrase that. Lacey was a what? 154 guy that went up to 168.
He went up to 175.
Yeah, Lacey's not a big guy, man. I don't know if there's still videos floating out when he used to box for St. Petersburg in Florida as an amateur. Yeah. Jeff Lacey is not a big guy. He was smaller than Winky Wright. I think they're about the same age, but he was smaller than Winky Wright.
Tyson.
Yeah, listen, look, but he say that again.
Stopped Robin Reed, didn't he?
Yeah, but that wasn't the same Robin Reed.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying he stopped Robin. It was Robin's first stoppage.
And also, Robin's not a big guy either, is he?
Yeah. No, but the point I want to make is I think when Jeff Lacey fought Taylor, he was 24-1. He'd only been beat by Calzaghe, and he'd already been a world champion. So the guy could fight, couldn't he? Being a world champion, had defenses of it and that, and then lost his belt to Calzaghe on points.
Okay, hold on. I'm just apply your own test to Jeff Lacey's record, Porky.
Yeah, go on, yeah.
What world champions did Jeff Lacey beat?
Well, he beat that Zids Vanderpool, didn't he?
There you go.
Was he a world champion?
No idea, mate. But wow, you've just proved my point there.
He didn't have a. That's two.
Yeah, but that's not. No, that doesn't get you on Porky's Hall of Fame, though, does it?
Oh right. Oh no, you asked me who world champions he beat. Well, that's two. I can remember. There's another one as well. I think. So he's beat two there already, and then he's up against.
And this is the same Jermaine Taylor that beat Hopkins twice.
Jermaine Taylor beat Hopkins twice at middleweight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's fighting Jeff at super middle, where Jeff's been a super middleweight world champion. Jermaine Taylor had not been a super middleweight champion, so Jermaine Taylor fought him, and I think he won on points, didn't
he? Yeah, but there you go.
Fought the mandatory, which was Jermaine Taylor, and he went for them. Mick Dennessy had just lost his deal with ITV, so Carl and Mick went to Foxwoods in Mashantucket and fought Taylor out there.
Yeah, so it's back to the point.
They got for that for 700 grand.
Yeah, you see. But it comes back to it, and like there are people in the sport, Russ, who are just a different league. And Ward was one of them, because I don't think Ward would have ever lost to Jermaine Taylor. I don't think Ward would have ever been dropped by Jermaine Taylor.
Jermaine Taylor beat Bernard Hopkins twice convincingly, and they say Bernard Hopkins' style's the same as Ward's, don't they?
Mate, you sound like one of those guys on Twitter right now, Russell.
Do I? I'm only going on what they say. That's what.
No, you are. You sound like one of those guys on Twitter. Well, if you put him here and you put him over here, then he could do this and he could do that. No, Ward's Ward, and he's a special guy, and that doesn't mean that Froch isn't great. It just means that in Froch's era, there was a guy that I don't think they could have fought 1,000 times. I don't think Froch was one of those fights.
No.
Nah.
I don't agree.
Nah.
Well, he just fought the guy and two judges had it by 2 rounds.
Yeah, but Ward was just seeing it out at that point. Just like, well, I've won the first 8 rounds.
He's been knackered in his life after a 12-round fight.
Nah.
Close to death, mate. White as a sheet.
No, so he won the first easily. The second one, he'd probably stopped Carl, to be honest with you.
Yo, man, nobody's ever stopped Carl Froch, mate.
Well, Groves did. That count was very long.
Terry, you're pissing up my leg, man. I'm wet through here. Get me a towel.
Nah, look. Froch, go and cut. What's it? It was like a 20 count. Fair enough, though. You know, he got up and he came back.
Boucher then, Terry, you know, that big punching southpaw who were icing people back in the day. What did you think to him?
I applied the Porky test, and I just said, well, we haven't seen him against people we really know.
You and Lucian Boucher came to England. You were one of them people, and you told me you thought, this is it for Carl Froch. He's going to end up in a lot of bother tonight. Well,
No, I never said that. You know, Russ, I actually didn't care about that fight.
Didn't you? Why not?
Nah, like if you're having a fight,
Super Six.
if you're fighting in Nottingham,
Yeah.
it tells me it's not a big fight.
You're really trying to stick it to it tonight, aren't you, you topper? Hey. That's not a big fight. 10,000 sellout at Nottingham for the world title.
Nah.
Between runner-up in Super Six and Booty, they're considered the number one.
How can you lose to Ward and then tell me Butte is number one? That doesn't make any sense.
No, Booty were considered the number one before the Super Six, and even after it, he was considered the man. Go read Ring.
By who?
Mate. I'll send you the screenshot from Ring Magazine, mate. Booty was considered the man at the time. He was supposed to fight Ward, wasn't he?
He'd have been ended.
Yeah,
Luckily,
Terry, I can send you screenshots of Ward Booty poster. What did Ward say? He said, and I quote, Lucian Booty has not done any heavy lifting like I've had to do.
He's right. He's 1,000% right.
Just called me out after I've just been through this with the guys he's fighting. That's what he said, Ward.
1,000% right.
True, he did say that, yeah. So he said he should fight Froch, and if he beats Froch, I'll fight him then. That's it.
Spot on.
Well, Froch wrote Booty off, didn't he? Comatose him, mate. Nottingham style, seen him off.
Yeah, but sorry, Russ, man. I can't take a guy seriously who was coming off wins against people like Miranda, Glenn Johnson, and Jean-Paul Mendy, man. I can't take that seriously.
Yeah, is that how he'd fought before then, yeah?
You know.
All them are world champions, though, aren't they? All of them. For former.
Okay, so who's Butte's biggest win?
It'll come to me. Andrade, I think. Got lucky in that one, though, didn't he?
So by your own test, Porky, this guy doesn't even pass.
Well, he'd gone through everybody, hadn't he?
No. If you were doing Porky's Corner back then, you'd have been slating Butte. You'd have been saying, I'm not watching this on a Saturday. Who is this guy? He hasn't fought anyone.
He beat Brian McGee, didn't he?
Who's he, man? Like
WBA, former WBA champion.
Come on, Russ. Come on.
I'm only going on what Ring Magazine say, Terry. They're experts. We're only people paying attention.
Nah, mate. Man, I'm going to send you a box of cornflakes.
Oh, yeah. So they've got to have pound for pound wins on the record for you to give them the nod, Terry.
No, but look. Butte lost to Froch, and they pretty much lost to anyone else with a pulse after that, right?
Do you big James DeGale up, Terry, though?
This is tricky.
Do you rate him as a super middleweight great? Groves. Who's the better?
I'd say DeGale.
DeGale, yeah.
Yeah, won the title when it was presented to him the first time.
Right, you think James DeGale's a better fighter than George Groves, technician-wise?
No. Well, as a technician, yes. But if we're talking about CVs, then yeah, I'm going to give him that.
You know George Groves? You know how I look at George Groves now? I think George Groves were maybe rushed 1 year ahead of his time. That's what I think. I think he was rushed. If he'd have waited another year, I think he would have blossomed and been a dominant super middleweight now. I know I rated Groves, but I thought Froch got him at the right time both times because I think it might have been a different story if it had been 18 months on, 18 months on, the first fight.
And that's why Froch avoided DeGale, because he realised that, well...
No, I don't agree with that, because when I look at James DeGale, George Groves took James DeGale's O. James DeGale went on to win a world title, and he took and he beat Booty, and then he beat Durrell and Booty, didn't he? But Bute, Durrell, and Groves lost their unbeaten records to Carl Froch. So, and all them.
But DeGale beat Durrell more impressively than Froch did.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Well, we had a Durrell on the slide after the brain injury, though, then, didn't we, Terry?
I think he got better.
I like that one, Terry. You like that one with brain injury. Forgot about that, didn't you? So, James DeGale beat a guy in better fashion than Carl Froch, but after he'd had a brain injury.
Well, was the brain injury actually verified?
It's to be a double G. You know that cartoon? You know when the guy's lost in Mumbai and he windscreen on car and she's got no change, she's got no money or something. And he pulled credit card thing out, didn't he? Remember it?
Oh God.
No, sorry. No, James DeGale, mate. Listen, mate. Carl Froch beat Groves, took his own, but Groves had beat DeGale. So, but DeGale beat Bute and Durrell.
Well, we're back to Twitter. We're back to Twitter talk.
He took all of their own.
No.
If he'd have been,
I'll come back to this.
He'd have been known as the double O. What, mate?
Just in simple terms, man. Like Froch, there are two people Froch ducked, right? Stevenson because he was scared of the power, and DeGale because he was scared of the skill.
He didn't duck.
And I remember having lunch with Carl in West Bridgeford, right? We went down to this cafe in West Bridgeford. Beautiful lunch. And he said, Terry, I'm scared of James DeGale. Like, what if I can't land a single punch on him? Well, fine.
You're losing arguments, so you're making knackers up. What's a knackers?
Go and ask Carl about being at Sophie's place in West Bridgeford. He'll tell you. I've known Carl, 10 years now?
10 years. You're fucking pissing up my legs, Terry, honestly.
No.
Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. Listen, mate. James DeGale would have got wrote off against Carl Froch, mate, if they'd have fought. Wrote off, mate. He couldn't even get off at ropes. He used to crouch down like that with ropes. Could you imagine the Cobra unleashing?
Listen, mate. 07970 2 ... I've got the number, man. I've had Carl's number for a decade, man. We're mates.
Terry, you're funny.
Porky.
But
now, back to what we were saying. No. Ward is light years better than all of them.
Okay, then. So if Ward had fought Froch 6 times, how many would you have given Froch?
-6.
No. I think you'd have to give him at least 2.
No, he wouldn't have won a single fight. He'd have been stopped in half of those fights.
You reckon, dear? Why Andre was somebody who was a 50% KO man?
Hey, listen, look what he did to Kovalev, man. Moved up in weight.
When he got
fought the scariest light heavyweight since Bob Foster.
Kovalev won the first one on points. Your words, not mine.
I never said that in my life.
Oh, what did you say then?
I said Ward won both fights.
You said Ward won both fights. Well, no, the experts had him winning the first one.
That's why they're not experts anymore.
So Ward gets dropped in a fight and loses first half of it, and there's a dropping in it.
No, he only lost that second round.
Oh. Well, a lot of people don't agree with that. Okay, then. So if you give Ward both fights and that, Kovalev, who was his best win? Nathan Cleverly. Cobra would have wrote Nathan Cleverly off. Would have made him his bitch.
Are we really doing that, Porky? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing?
No, I'm just pointing out here. You're going on about Kovalev like he's some roadman killer. What for knocking Cleverly out, man? Jeez.
Yeah, but who had done that before?
Hey?
Who had done that before?
What, to Cleverly?
Yeah.
Nobody had not been stopped. He was undefeated.
Yeah, I just, you were so casually talking about Taylor's wins against Hopkins, but you ignore Kovalev's wins against Hopkins, how he dealt with Pascal easier than Froch could have ever done. Come on.
Pascal fought Kovalev 10 years after Carl Froch beat him for world title. 10 year. Come on. It's a long time.
Nah, it was like 2 years, Porky.
Oh, man. Froch beat Pascal in 08. Pascal, Kovalev went about in 2010. Went 2 years. Come on, Terry. What's happened to you? Well,
No, did Kovalev turn pro in 2009?
2009, that's 11 years.
Yeah, when did Froch turn pro?
Froch beat Pascal in 08, mate. I was there ringside. 08, December 6.
Yeah, that wasn't even Pascal.
Tyson Fury made his debut that night. His family was sat near me.
Yeah, listen, he was a novice then as well. Pascal was a novice.
What, he'd just been in the Olympics and that, and he was 18-0. WBC.
There you go. See, that's my point. He was a novice. But when Kovalev fought him, he was peak. That was peak Pascal. That was the best version of Pascal.
Yeah, peak Pascal were when he fought Hopkins for the first time and they gave it a draw. That was his peak.
Now, for me, Carl fought a lot of guys either before or after their peaks. You know, he ducked a lot of people at their peak, apart from Ward, and then you know what happened there.
Terry, you're clutching at straws here, mate. Terry, you're hanging on for dear life. It's sad to see, mate. It's sad to see. You're like Andy Gray when he were at Sky, just hanging around there like a bad smell.
Nah.
Sad to see, mate. All right, then, moving on from the Carl the Great Froch, the Sheriff of Nottingham, the Cobra, to Andre Ward, some dosser from San Francisco. Moving on, Kell Brook's been in news this week, Terry, and Amir Khan, and there's Amir Khan's calling it on. What do we think to that? What do we want to see it, Terry, or do we think?
I want to see it when both guys are 50. I don't want to see it now. I want to see it when they're both 50.
50, yeah?
Yeah, I honestly, like, I can't take them seriously now because they're past it. But when they get to 50 and they haven't really trained for a while, let them get back in the ring. I'll watch it then.
Yeah. Yeah, do you fancy, who would you fancy in that one, Terry?
Khan,
yeah?
Yeah.
I like them both, me, but if I were going to pick a winner, I'd have to pick Amir Khan.
And the winner gets Nicky Smedley in the final.
Nicky Smedley, yeah, at Chris Smedley's gym, King's Boxing, Retford Road, Woodhouse, Sheffield, Chris Smedley's gym, S13. Get yourself down there. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Come and see Big King there all the time.
And get trained by a real king.
Get trained by the man who has got a grade non haircut and a massive heart and big gonads. Hey, do you know Chris? You know what? In all the time I've known Chris, there's never been one of them to say we should be getting this much or should be getting that. Never even speak money once. Never. I think that's good. That, you know, one of them amateur coaches put the time in. They're forking out a lot of money for their own gym every month on top of where they live in their own house as well and go to work. They're the true heroes of boxing. Your Chris Smedleys, your Russ Gerards, your Stu Currys, Joe Gallagher. Look what he was doing back in the day, Joe.
People don't realise how hard it is to take a kid off the street.
That's been at it a 30 stretch, mate. People put the time in, and sometimes if you get a reward, yeah, but if you don't, it's not off your own back. If you've got a job in doing it, it's a passion, isn't it? I mean, if you can get some out of it, brilliant. But a lot of people don't have a moan. They just get on with it. Some have done well, some haven't. But proper boxing people live it, don't they? They're at it from 6 in the morning while midnight, mate. Proper boxing people, even when you're at home and that, and you're watching a film with missus, they're on the phone, aren't they? I know, mate. I know people who do it. It's like having a pub.
Mate, I tell those people, get interest outside of boxing. Once you start treating boxing like that, you end up hating it by the end of it, mate. You've got to get in and out of it. Like, because I was like that, Porky, man. I was obsessed with it, and I realized it wasn't healthy for me. So now, when I don't have to think about boxing, I don't, and when I do, then I do. But remember, for me, I don't have to watch loads of IFL interviews. I just walk into our gym, and that's boxing. I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. It's can drive us all a bit insane, can't it? Do you think?
Look what it's doing to people now. That's what I told you. I'll never be a hardcore. I love boxing, but I love the sports side of it. The rumor mill, the news, the ins and outs. I don't have time for that, mate.
Yeah, it's. Do you think boxing will have new people running it in UK next couple of years, Terry? Do you think there's a possibility?
Nah.
Don't you think?
No. God, no.
Circles in another 50 years with same sort of carry-ons.
Yeah, because that's how they make their money, Russ.
Doesn't seem right, that, honestly. Doesn't seem right. I don't think it does. I just don't think it's right.
It's how boxing's always made its money. Drag things out for as long as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. It's bad, isn't it? What do you think about Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Terry? Obviously, you've seen a lot in this week. It's had a lot of media attention, even on Sky.
It's like I said, Russ, I watch them box when they're 50.
Yeah.
I either need to see them box in their 20s or I need to see them box when they're 50. Anything in the middle, I've no interest in.
Yeah.
Because they're just looking for a payday now.
What do you think is going to happen with Josh Warrington now, then? What do you think will happen with him and Eddie Hearn?
Well, he's got to fight that Mexican kid, hasn't he? That's not going to be easy. Jesus.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I'd have swerved that rematch and I'd have gone looking for paydays.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken that rematch.
Do you feel, Terry, that the rumour doing the rounds regarding Josh Warrington Lara rematch at Edinley, the rumour doing the rounds is that it's going to be pay-per-view. Do you think that's a worthy pay-per-view? I think it is.
No, I don't.
You don't think
if Chisora Parker's not pay-per-view, then this isn't pay-per-view.
Well, technically, it's like a world title fight. It's like a world title fight, isn't it?
For what world title?
It'd be like if Warrington had not vacated, him and that guy that fought for it, that guy beat.
What world title are they fighting for, us?
Well, they're not fighting for anything, are they?
Okay. So by Russell Hartley's own test, this is not pay-per-view.
Well, no, technically no, but we're talking in this current climate. I've still got it, kid. I've still got it.
Nah, look, it's not a pay-per-view fight. Like, that's the sort of thing you'd put on an undercard for, I don't know, one of your lead-up guys. Like, if Joshua's not going to fight Fury, then you'd have Warrington Lara as an undercard fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I mean, Josh Warrington, if he don't win this, he could he could end up fighting Josh Whale, couldn't he?
I think Warrington's problem was he fought two guys in Selby and Frampton who had clearly seen better days. And so we kind of oversold who he was. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to Josh. He hadn't had that test, that kind of Leo Santa Cruz type test. He hadn't had that.
Yeah.
And Lara came and Lara said, well, I'll be that test for you. And like I said, go and watch the fight back. Warrington did nothing that he hadn't done before.
Yeah.
And the kid was ready for it.
Yeah. Tough fight for him, but you know what? I think he could do it. They could have a trilogy then, couldn't they, if they did it?
I'd have blown that off and I'd have fought Isaac Dogbo. That's the fight I would have taken.
Yeah. Where do you think Dogbo's going to end, though, Terry?
I think he'll just fight in America. Clearly, the British promoters don't want to work with him. He'll just fight in America.
Yeah. Do you think that Stevenson will fight on these shows, Terry?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Who wants to come up against a British judge?
Yeah. Do you think David Price will fight again, Terry? Like a conundrum. David Price.
Maybe one more. They'll dig him up for like Huey Fury or something.
You think, yeah?
Yeah.
Did he shock you beating Dave Allen like he did?
Oh no, but remember, we always go back to Porky's test, right?
Yeah, Porky's test.
The kid had never won a belt.
What, mate? What?
The kid had never won a belt, facing an Olympic bronze medalist, 6'8", 17 and a half, 18 stone, could still jab. Nah, it was expected.
Yeah, if a big giant gingerbread man were coming at me like David Price, I'd be real scared. With massive giant dwarf ears. He's got like pointy Dr. Spock ears, hasn't he?
Oh God.
He has though, hasn't he? Big Pricey. Have you heard that story about David Price doing round? This is an old story. Listen to this. It's funny. And Tom Dallas. I don't know if anybody who's watching this ever met Tom Dallas. Tom Dallas, you're a plank of wood. But listen to this. Tom Dallas, go and start. So he said, Pricey, give me a push. Pricey had been sparring him. This is a true story. Pricey pushed him out halfway down this road about half a mile. And he's got in gear. How do you know that? So he's gone around to look. The stock car again. It was automatic. Tom Dallas driving about in an automatic, trying to bump start it because battery's flat. It's impossible. You ain't got a clutch, have you? Oh no. Little things amuse small minds, don't they, Terry? You can imagine big prices. Oh, look how strong I am. I'll push you a mile down road. While you're in neutral, yeah. Put it in second gear, lad. What? How did you do that? Fuck clutching. It's an auto, like you do. But what about Sonny Edwards? Does he win a world title? I didn't want to mention him tonight. I didn't want to mention.
No comment.
I don't want to comment on him. Oh well, okay. What about Dennis's news with all these new signings in Scotland and all that? What do you think's going on there without letting me know, Terry?
Oh well, I thought you would know. You know Den better than most.
Not speaking, are we now, me and Dan? He'd love
Why?
me to ring. He'd love me to ring him. Man, he'd be here within if I rung Dennis, he'd be here within 2 hours.
You guys just need to sort it out amongst yourselves. Man. You're like 5-year-olds.
Yeah, I know. Well, it is what it is. What about Savannah Marshall? Does she get the Clarissa Shields fight, Terry?
Not until Hearn gets hold of Clarissa Shields himself. When he signs her, that's when that fight will happen.
Yeah. Would you make Savannah a favourite? I would.
She's not active enough. Like on paper, yeah, but she's not active enough.
Trains though every day.
But training's not fighting, Russ.
Yeah. I hope that isn't Savannah's undoing that because she's a lovely girl and that, and she can really fight.
Yeah, everyone speaks well of her, but she's just got to be active.
I don't think Savannah's as even though she's quiet and that, and if you get to know her, she's all right. You can have a conversation with her. I know she's very shy and that, but these days you need like that bit of personality, a bit out there kind of thing, don't you? But I just don't see Savannah carrying off like I see other people, women boxers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think to this Shannon Courtney against Ebony Bridges? They're saying it's a world title, Teddy, but the level of them both's not central area, is it?
Yeah, but you love a world champion though, Russ. And then 5 years from now, you'll be telling me how many world champions one of them's beaten.
I know but Terry, they're handing belts out willy-nilly now, and I think it's having a detrimental effect on the sport. What do you think?
Let's see how this fight goes on Saturday. If this is a farce, then Eddie's going to be in a difficult position. If it's a bit of a tussle, a bit of a war, then boxing's the winner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what do you think is going to happen with Olympics and with boxing and Terry and that? With EIS and that. What do you think is going to happen there?
Let's see if Britain and America boycott the Olympics, or which Olympics were they going to boycott? When they're going to boycott one of them?
I don't know, but do you feel that there's any big stars coming through who are going to go to Olympics and might turn pro, Terry? What do you think?
I think they've all turned pro already. All these kids like Keyshawn Davis, Troy Isley out of America, they've turned pro. Depending on what happens next, look, actually, Sandy Ryan's turned pro. And then, what will the McCormack brothers do? What will Ben Whittaker do? They're kind of the crown jewels in the EIS system at the moment.
Go out way, isn't he? Ben Whittaker's tipped to go out way.
Yeah, if his chin holds out, then yeah, comfortably.
He's got the skill set, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's all good, mate.
Yeah.
Look, mate, we've given the fans what they want, and we're running a treacle now.
We're hitting it, mate. We've getting what they want. We like to chat boxing with us, don't they? We're gonna do our best. But listen, it's been a pleasure having you, Terry.
Mate, a pleasure's all mine. Thank you. Give my best to the family as always.
Yeah, you're with some food now, aren't you?
No, I've got to ring my mum, then get some food.
All right, then. Well, listen, you take care, my friend, and I'll speak to you.
I will do.
Cheers,
Don't
mate.
have nightmares, Porks.
Don't you have nightmares as well? Cheers.
Mate. Bye.
Bye. Well, that was Terry. He made an hasty retreat there, just as I was about to crack open another bottle. I've only found another 4. But had an hard day. 4 videos you've had today, or is it 5? Well, you had 3 out and 2 tomorrow. I'll put these out tomorrow. So very good do at me today. So peace out. Keep on trucking. Keep sporting boxing. Thank you very much to all them who liked and subscribed and joined the members area. Peace out.